Hi there everybody, I'm Fletcher Sauce and I'm back again with another video after a little while off for Christmas and New Year's. Hope everyone had good Christmas, good start to the year, and yeah, let's jump into it. So this is what we've been doing so far, from continuation from my last video where we played a 3-3-3-1 or a 3-3-1-3, whatever you want to call it, and we decided to play most players out of position, what would be considered generally not their primary position. Hi Anthony, how's it going? Nice to see your first today. How's it going, buddy? Haven't seen you in a while, but good to see you. So this is kind of what we were going with, and as you can see from the results so far, we're top of the league, way above expected, and we're 4 points clear of Inter Milan. Hi Tiki Press, happy 2025. Feels weird to say. Yeah, how's it going, bud? And yeah, this has kind of been going great. It's been going good. It's been going better than expected in a lot of ways, but worse than expected in a lot of ways. We haven't been thrashing or smashing too many teams, and I'd say we're pretty fortunate in some key games, particularly early on against Inter Milan. I mean, we have a convincing win here, and it was fortunate. I think we do line up well against Inter Milan's 3-5-2, but mostly been doing okay. So I have been looking at tweaking this tactic and adding some things to it to make it kind of achieve more so than what it already is. So at the moment, the things I don't like about the tactic, which aren't going too great. So this wide target forward is a new thing. Prior to this, we were playing with wingers on support. We were playing left-footed wingers on the left and right-footed wingers on the right, and we were playing, hello Chelsea, we were playing kind of wing backs in these winger roles, and they were tracking, man marking the opposition fullbacks. So they're playing really attacking wing backs in these winger roles, and I kind of wanted to change this. I wanted to change the type of player that were in these wide positions. I wanted to change them from kind of a winger. So this would be Gosens, and his primary job would be to get the ball and run down this flank and cross it in. But I found it somewhat illogical, counterintuitive to the plan that is holding up the ball, because a big part of this tactic is, hi Schweinflu, nice to see you, buddy, hello. So a nice kind of thing about this tactic is that it's a clearly great tactic to have underlaps, to have these inverted wing backs coming up and getting into these spaces. But if a winger gets the ball and drives to the byline and looks to cross all the time, it doesn't really achieve exactly. Trim looking fresh. That is so nice of you to say, Chelsea. Thank you, because I haven't had a haircut in ages because I'm growing my hair out. So it's nice that you think that my hair looks good, because a lot of people prefer my hair longer. I get a lot of people hating on my hair when it's shorter now. So it's I've kind of embraced the longer hair thing, and I'm going with it. So thank you, appreciate that. How you getting on, bub? Okay, so to help me explain this tactical evolution, I'll see if I can bring up a tactic board to help more clearly explain my thoughts. So I'll bring this up here, and if we look at what I've got currently going on the tactic board, you've got these wide target forwards or wingers or wing backs playing in a winger role. They get the ball, and then this guy looks to underlap, and the underlap instruction will make this player hold up the ball a little bit more. But if it's a winger, he's going to get up here, drive to the byline, and put crosses into the box. I don't know if these are the chances that I want to create more so than if this player holds up the ball, this player makes a run into the box, receives, and shoots and scores. We've had a lot of goals from these inverted wing backs doing just that. But I was wondering if we could maybe increase the volume of this. So I had a look at potential signings and potential players I wanted to bring in. So this is instead of more of a tactical shift, because the tactic will be quite similar still, this is more of a profile change. I still want to keep Gosens, but we're bringing in McTominay as a key player. We've signed McTominay for very little money. He was on the transfer list and we signed him for 2.5 million from Napoli. And I think bringing in this sort of player, there's a lot of directions, a lot of kind of things we can do with a play like this, and wanting to be kind of different, not for the sake of being different, but mostly to prove my point that you don't have to play players in their conventional positions. I think it makes sense to play McTominay out on the wing. He does have get into opposition area and comes deep to get the ball. So I thought a kind of natural evolution to this tactic, and to make it a bit more interesting, we could have this wide target forward on this side on support. We could have this guy as a shadow striker, this guy as a complete forward, and then this guy as a wide target forward on attack. One cool thing I'd like to see is that Gosens and McTominay both have the same player trait, which is gets into opposition area. So despite holding the width and being the wide target forwards, I like the idea that these guys would still get into the box and still smash the box and score some goals. Both of them have got great finishing for their respective kind of position already. McTominay with 15, Gosens with 13. 13 finishing is great for a fullback, wingback kind of guy. And then maybe I was thinking of just a slight tweak between these tactics of having kind of like this lopsided kind of thing, and then sometimes this, depending on the opponent, but not too much changes outside of that. Still sticking to the same kind of philosophy, and then looking to get rid of some players. In the meantime, we've had some players kind of, they've got unhappy with game time. Kawata being one of them. Kawata's a player I really like as a right-side centre-back, but in this kind of experiment where we want our right-sided centre-backs to be able to cross the ball, I'm not too upset about allowing this player to leave. I'm not too sad about seeing him go, as I think I've got a really interesting player to come in and play as the right-sided centre-back. Weston McKennie is transfer listed. We don't have the money to buy him right now, kinda. But we do have the funds to get him in on loan. And I felt with his jumping reach, some of his defensive qualities, he could be a very interesting centre-back, given his player traits of getting into the opposition area as well, moving into channels, playing 1-2s, dives into tackles. I think that Weston McKennie would be a really exciting and fun right-sided centre-back to add to this equation. I feel like this guy would be obviously more on the attacking side, a bit wild. But I'm happy with that. So I'm kind of looking into the next phase of this save of what I want to do. And I'm looking at targeting players in the transfer market who could kind of help us with that. We've had Goodmanson in this shadow striker role, and he's been our best player by far. You can see his pace, dribbling, attacking attributes. Going to be hard to replace. I have managed to put an offer in for Berardi, only for 5 million. He's at Sassuolo in the league below, and at Serie B, I believe. So getting this player in as a Goodmanson replacement, I don't know if he's going to be able to do the exact same job as that kind of terrorizing winger in a 10 role. However, I do think he's got the attributes to be a shadow striking playmaker. Maybe not as good dribbling as someone as Goodmanson, but still can have such kind of talismanic impact, I'm hoping. So let's not think about too many things at once. I'll try and think about what we currently have now, because we've still got a season to play with. The transfer window isn't open yet. We're in December. So we can kind of look at what we've got and what we're going to kind of lose. And then I'm going to show you what sort of players I'm looking for long term. The winger experiment is kind of one of them hard ones to judge. And I'm talking about the wing backs as winger experiment. And the reason it's a hard one to judge is those players individually haven't performed and haven't got the ratings. But we are top of the league and we're winning games and we're playing well. So there's an argument to be said for that those players are sacrificing themselves those players are making a kind of sacrifice being out wide here, stretching the play to allow other players to succeed. But I would like to see more output, more goals, more attacking contribution from my attacking wide players. So to continue with the philosophy of these guys holding up the ball for these guys to get in the box, I feel like they do need the hold up ball instruction. Maybe to reiterate, re-emphasize that. And I don't want it to be cross more often and cross from the byline like always. So let's say I do want these guys to get to the byline, but not cross more often, not less often, just the appropriate amount. And maybe to still stay wider, still hold up the stay wider, and then maybe roam from position. I've been playing 7-a-side football in a league, and we just started our first game of the season, and it's given me kind of a little bit of an obsession with roam from position. I don't know how much that's going to translate to Football Manager, but let's see. So this would be McTominay in the future. And this would be support, hold up the ball, and such. But I don't feel like we can pull this off right now because we don't have that wide target forward on the right. So this will continue to be a winger. So maybe one continual winger for now, and they cross to the target forward. Aim for back post crosses to Gosens. Makes sense. You've got both targets to hit here. Complete forward in Keane. I think I'm going to make this transition to see if Keane can become a complete forward. I think that he has all of the attributes to make it work. Just, you know, he's not the best playmaker, he's not the best dribbler, but he does have a lot of strength and can hold up the ball well. So I'm going to try Keane on a complete forward. So even though we got this transition in the future where we know we want this to be a wide target forward, we will continue what we're doing with our current players. And imagine this team now, but with McTominay, with Berardi. I mean, Berardi can play in either of these roles, and we'll still get utilised Goodmanson while we still have him on loan. But then we'll look to bring in McKennie. Obviously, Coyote's great, right? He's amazing. But I don't know if he's as fun or interesting as I don't know if he's as fun or interesting as Weston McKennie would be in this role. So there's a few players who are unhappy that it's probably better to cash in on now. And Kawata is one of them. Kawata's going to have some interest. Loads of clubs are interested in him. He's unhappy about his playing time and will probably leave. The only main thing, couple things I don't like about Kawata is he doesn't have the crossing ability that I want to show in this tactic from our wide centre-backs. And then Ranieri, and he does lack height also. Ranieri lacks height. He's arguably perfect for a backup. He's arguably absolutely fine to keep as a backup. However, he's not happy with his playing time, so I'd rather just find someone to replace him, someone who's happy to be squad player. And then one of the other things I was looking at is maybe moving away from a kind of inverted wing back to more of an inverted winger player, much more of a winger type. Spinazzola has not been doing well. You could argue he's been doing okay, but I'd say he's not been thriving. And we could maybe bring him in, utilise him more as an attacking wing back in the more, get the best dribblers in the team, these guys cutting inside. Wingers can hold position if you don't want to get to the byline. I don't think they will attack the box, so your point is better. So say he crosses from the byline and holds up the ball. I'm not sure how that's going to work. We'll have to see it. I'm sure he kind of holds up the ball by edging towards the byline, which does make sense. But I do get that that's quite maybe... A winger gets the ball and runs at players or runs to the byline. So in this winger, we'll make sure he gets the byline. Don't know if he has to get further forward. But we do want mark-specific position. So our right winger will be marking the left back. And we do have wingers with, or wing backs with good marking. I'm going to call them wingers. But they're more like wing backs playing in this role. And then we've got our left guy marking the right back. Cut inside with the ball, run wide with the ball. I think it doesn't matter too much for now, but in the future we will adjust this. I've thought about having these guys cutting in and these guys cutting in. That seems maybe counterintuitive and less efficient also. Like say this guy cuts inside and this guy cuts inside. There's no one to really attack this space unless Baragi was to like get up there. Hi Bones, how's it going, bud? So you can't have a hold position on the winger role. There's no hold position option for the winger. But for now, this is what we're going to roll with. And we're going to look to progress in this save a bit quicker than normal because I want to get to these interesting signings. Okay, Chelsea, thank you for dropping in, though. Appreciate you taking time just to come say hello. So what have we done in the meantime as well? We've sold Dodo as he is one of those smaller wingers, maybe capable of holding up the ball with his strength, but maybe his height is a reason he might not. I'm not completely sure with the wide target forward if balls are always played into them like such. We can't do aim target forward delivery on the what do you call it? We can't do basically aim crosses at target forward from the inverted wing backs because they're on cross less often. But this is kind of the next stage of what I want to do tactically. And it's not necessarily change in formation, just slight adjustments. Hold position, where is Rome? Here. I understand what you mean now. Hold position as opposed to Rome from position. Yeah. I'm a bit obsessed with Rome from position right now. Definitely been influenced by the 7-a-side gameplay. I'm not going to go into the negatives of Rome from position, but yes. I'm also feel that my Rome from position is maybe a bit too much for this role, and converting to a defensive midfielder makes a bit more sense. Maybe, again, when we're not doing so well in games, we need a bit more creativity. Maybe this can be switched to a Roman playmaker. But for now, we'll go to this. We'll change back to this. A player that will probably begin to hate his life if he's not playing is Guerrerian, Goodmanson. Now, we could, if we wanted to continue with a wide target forward, we could just play Kolpani here. He'd be left-footed on the right side. I'm not sure if that's my favorite thing. And while people are still playing fairly well, like Lazari or this guy. And then another thing, I'm thinking about moving to a different type of striker than this. If we are going to continue with the complete forward, I don't know, even though Kwame is doing well in the games he's playing, remember that performances and stats are misleading. He's doing so well because we're using him against weaker opposition, so he's thriving. But he is playing in the easier games. Now, I don't know if we would consider this a complete forward. This, to me, screams advanced forward. It just, inside forward, advanced forward makes the most sense for Kwame. And despite liking him and he's really quick, I do think we can find alternatives and different types of players. So there's a few players I've looked at and a few players I've found that I feel would suit my team really well. Garcia is one of them. Garcia, the centre-back from Barcelona, would be a perfect DM for me. He's exactly the kind of profile I'm looking for. Stanisic is the right and left-sided. What I like about McKennie and Stanisic is both of them are either-footed. So it provides a lot of cover, them being able to play left and right. They both have decent crossing for centre-backs, wide-type centre-backs. So they're two targets I've looked at. And both of them, McKennie is alone, but still listed for not a great amount. And then Stanisic is available for not too much money as well, so he'd be another good option. I'm looking at other cheaper kind of players that could join this team that would be an improvement. So for now, we'll just decide exactly who we don't want. Kawata is one of them. I think Ranieri is someone we could replace. The player that I'd like to replace him with wants star player. So I am happy to show you a dream example of a player that I want. But even though I know I'm not going to get him, just to show you exactly what I'm looking for in that left-sided centre-back role. So this would be a perfect example of what I want from a left-sided centre-back. Fair amount of jump and reach and heading, good tackling, well-rounded, fairly quick, strong, with very good crossing. So for me, this is a dream player, perfect player that I'd like to get. He wants star player, and I cannot give him star player because I love Biraghi and I don't want him to take up Biraghi playing time. Biraghi's improving at 32 years old, which is, again, another misconception on Football Manager, that these old guys are just bad. And then like someone like Biraghi bringing in at 30 years old, yes, the negative is that he's 30 years old. The positive is that we're picking up a player who's clearly worth 20 plus, I would say, 25, you could say, and we're getting him for 5 million. Wanted by Arsenal and Chelsea. Hopefully we can grab this guy, and finding a guy this undervalued at 30 years old to bring into the team as a kind of talisman. Same story with McTominay, 2.5 million. This is a very inexpensive rebuild where we're going to be phasing out our loan players. Despite bringing in Spinazzola and McKennie on loan, we're looking at eventually phasing out the players that we have on loan to bring in really undervalued, not old guys, but older guys, I would say. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on where we're going with this. Lot of targets I want, but it's a case of who should I bring in right now. So if we are going to commit to this wide target forward thing, McTominay can be wide target forward on the right, Gosens wide target forward on the left. I have found a player I really like. I would like to know your opinion of him. So we'll go to Greece right now, and I think he plays for Panathinaikos. I'm not 100%, but maybe Panathinaikos. And we're looking at this guy. Ionidis. I should basically only buy players whose names I can pronounce, but here we are. I like him as a wide target forward option. And then could still play in the complete forward role. He's got the playmaking, passing vision. He's got the work rate. He's got strength. He's got a bit of speed, fair amounts of off the ball. Maybe lacks a bit of finishing, but not too bad to play out wide. And I think this is a guy who could comfortably hold up the ball. Height, strength, he's got what it takes to hold up the ball. Another thing that drew me to this player is he has 10 marking as well. So we get the ability to man mark the fullbacks like we've been doing, but with not necessarily a wing back anymore, with a kind of I would call this guy a striker. He would then be converted into a wide target forward on the right. Runs with the ball often is cool, even though wide target forward comes with dribble less. I still think this is a cool player. You could consider him straight away a Kwame replacement. And I think it would offer us, again, what we're going for here is something fun, right? The main targets, main players that we're looking to sign are players that fit the theme of making our save fun. So McTominay, obviously very fun. Ionidis, he needs a nickname, because I'm going to butcher that one 50 times. And I see this configuration as something very interesting to me and would be really cool if it works. We've got no guarantees that it will work, but yeah. For now, we've got Bove and Guerreri in here, and then Spinazzola can play here. So there's no immediate reason to sign any of these guys. But with Kawata leaving, I think we definitely need to sign a replacement for him, and that replacement will be Weston McKennie. The 35-year-old or that we brought in for just, how would I explain, very short term, his pace has started to fall off a cliff, so now he's become very, very average, below average. This was cool to get him in. We needed him just for the short term. He's not on massive wages or anything, so it hasn't been detrimental bringing him in, but getting a replacement for him seems smart. So Stanisic, fairly quick enough. Got the crossing that we like and dribble in from our centre-backs, wide centre-backs. And basically has what we need. So let's do something like this, and percentage of next sale. Okay, they're going to decide. So let's say Stanisic and McKennie are a replacement for those two. We could probably get by with just 5 centre-backs, considering those two could arguably play all 3 across the back line. Weston McKennie is a bit of a stretch to play central defender, but I don't know if I want to buy another centre-back right now. And then in combination with McKennie, Stanisic, Berardi, McTominay, I think that's a good amount of players to bring in for now. We could bring in that striker, the Greek one, for now. But I would say that would be dependent on if we are to sell Kouame, and that is in the area we want to. I would say the Iodinis guy is just much more of a complete forward, an all-round better player. Not as quick, he lacks pace, but in terms of player profile, I'd say he's an upgrade. And if he's not an upgrade, he certainly fits the profile of what I'm looking for a little bit more, I would say. So happy with this. We've still got a load of our loan players. We'll look at these players in the future. If I did get Gerson, he would be to replace this guy, and I quite like this guy. So maybe Gerson would come in to be our backup defensive midfielder. Gerson's positioning and work rate, I hope you're aware of the Gerson I'm referring to. I say Gerson like everyone knows the Gerson I'm talking about, but yes, he's great. However, lacks a bit of positioning and work rate that I'd kind of want for this position, but he is extremely undervalued right now, available for about 4 million. So you could argue he'd just be good backup for cheap, and then offers something a bit different to Mandragora. Mandragora's cool, and he's been great. I really like this player. I really like this type of player as my DM. I could bring in Gerson maybe as a bit more of a creative version of him. But I don't know how essential it is right this second. So with that being said, if I can get the Greek guy for the similar amount I could sell Kouame for, maybe I do that. Kouame is in good goal scoring form. Like, he's got 11 goals, but none in the league. And this kind of sums up this player, right? Maybe he's coming on in Serie A, coming off the bench, but he's not having a big impact in games where we're not massive favourites, and then he's destroying smaller teams. Maybe we can switch to a bit more of a wide target forward system with this guy here. We will have to find a left wide target forward, which would potentially be Kolpani in the short time. We have Goodmanson and this guy here. So yeah, lacking few ideas floating around, but we'll probably just go for the guy now. I'm sure he's in my scouting list. A lot of players I'm scouting. This Vlasic would be the main type of striker I'd be looking at. Guys that you could imagine playing shadow striker as well as striker. And here we go. Let's go. We're interested. Noteworthy players. Let's say as a whole, performances looking for the think persuade client role expectation, please. Boom. Okay. All right. Agree. Maybe we can do a regular starter. So we go. He's valued at 13 million now that we've talked to the agent. I don't think paying any more than 10 million is probably a good idea. That's probably the figure we're looking at for Kouame, is around 10 million. So I like to do percentage of next sale because I don't intend on selling these players that I love. Okay. You think about that offer. So is that enough for just now? Let's have a little look. We had this other plan before, which should help us understand what we have right now as well. So we've got Ranieri. Ranieri's not sold yet, so we don't need to desperately go out and get a replacement for him yet. We've got these guys on loan: Goodmanson, Berardi, McTominay, Spinazzola can still feature. Lazari can still feature. Kawata's definitely leaving. Kawami leaving if we can get this guy. And Dodo's leaving. So McTominay's the replacement for Dodo. So with that being said, I think we can get a move on now. Just getting a clear vision of what we're trying to do and players that we're trying to get. I feel that early December is a good time to approach and get players. You think that's a great upgrade, Zappa? Oh, cool. Yeah, I like him. All right, this is cool. 8.5. This is what they want. Did they reject it? This is their response. 8.5 plus 8.5. 1.7 million. Budget 10 million. As long as it doesn't come like 10 million's fine, assuming we can get 10 million for Kawami. So we go offer and we'll make sure this is around the 11.5 million mark. And then we are going to see if, okay, 10, 10.5, 11, 11.5. Okay, 11.5 we get for Kawami. Straight replacement, different profile player. I like Kawami, he's cool, but doesn't really fit in perfectly with what we're trying to do. And what we are trying to do is assemble a team that does what we're trying to do perfectly. And what is that again? So I think I did it in this 7-a-side thing. So what is that? We want to get these guys into attacking positions, have these guys hold up the ball to free up space for these attacking guys in the center while retaining this shape, and then occasionally having our inverted wing backs get up and get into shooting positions, which you'll hopefully see often if it works. If it works how I envision it. So we go this. Moyes Keane, would you like to now be a complete forward? I think that suits you. I do think that makes sense. He can do, whether he's a great dribbler or not, he wants to run with the ball often anyway, so you might as well let him do it. You could argue he'd be a good wide target forward, but part of this main philosophy that I'm having is that my wide players do still man mark the opposition fullbacks. So having a little bit of marking is like a prerequisite for this position, something that I want them to have. Mando Dragon. I am intentionally mispronouncing his name, but in the name of not being able to pronounce his name already. It's like a covering up for my inadequacies of not being able to pronounce his name by just calling him something else. And then we still are going to invest some game time in Lazari, but I think we're at the stage right now. This is what I like to do. I go selection info, playing time, happiness, and we look at the players who are unhappy with playing time. All of these players are players that are leaving, so I don't need to be too concerned about their playing time. Adley, loan players also, but Lazari is in the satisfied, potentially unhappy category. So we'll get Lazari in for a start. We're playing Hellas Verona next, and then we can just go pick without restrictions, pick positions only. De Gea was injured, he's coming back, and this seems fine for now. And we'll see how we do. Oh, he's happy. He's interested. PSG are interested in him. Okay. Okay, squad player. Squad player, 50k. Some bonuses, relegation release clause, stuff like that. You can have a little sell-on fee, something like that. Okay, maybe 55. Top goal scorer of the year, we got that? Yeah. Okay, 55k, few bonuses, stuff like that. Bit more wages on the guy, but I'm happy to have this guy as a kind of wide target forward who has some marking. Kind of ticks every box. As we're moving to this, I got you can tell if you follow me or you watch my stream, you can tell I'm a bit obsessed with wide target forwards right now, and you could tell that I'm obsessed with this kind of profile player. Hello, how's it going? Welcome. You can see that I'm obsessed with that kind of profile player. Kawami, 11.5 million Saudi. This is just this is going to cover the costs of that striker. It's basically just a switch around. So what are we doing? We're replacing Dodo with McTominay, massive upgrade. Iodinis with Kawami is fine. McKennie for Kawata is cool. These are all kind of upgrades, but not just are they direct upgrades, they're more suited to how, here we go, 13.25. Okay, Saudi's helping us out. Saudi's helping fund this mission. So Kawata's going to leave, and we're going to get McKennie in for the short term. Maybe someone else for the long term. Maybe Weston McKennie if he's good. Weston McKennie seems an exciting wide centre-back. He seems someone that if has potential to be amazing, has potential to be bad, and has potential to be amazing. I like the idea of Weston McKennie getting here and getting into a kind of double pivot role. Did they accept it? They accepted it. Okay, Stanisic. This guy's definitely going to have to be squad player. Is he going to accept squad player? Yeah? Okay. I thought he wasn't going to accept it. All right. We're limited with our wages right now, which is fine. But as some players are going to leave, and I think this is my last signing of this little adventure. He can have a higher sell-on clause. I don't mind the higher sell-on clause. If I was doing a very long-term save and had loads of players I was interested in, but considering we're in a system where we... I didn't think he was going to take that. Okay. All right. So that seems all good. Who's coming in? Berardi, Stanisic, this striker. Like, this is a kind of a full rebuild. And these are all players that fit the profile of what I'm trying to do. They all seem suited. I'd say Moise Keane is the kind of player that doesn't suit the system as much, but he's an okay, I don't want to use the term differential, but he's an okay kind of different player that you can add to the equation. He's so good that we can play some games with him when we need to, some games without him when we don't have to have him. Always going to be impactful off the bench, and yeah, seems good. So let's just triple, because I just made this tactic, we'll triple check everything is correct. Definitely rowing from position, definitely cross more often. I think he's got good crossing, right? 16 crossing, definitely cross more often. This guy is going to be byline, cross more often, marking the fullback. Tackle harder, boom, 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 boom. Centre back, tackle harder, dribble more, leave the goalkeeper plain Jane. Yeah, that looks all good to me. So that seems fine. Playing with one winger, putting crosses into the wide target forward and the complete forward. We've got the shadow striker on cross more often, so the crosses are going to come in from this right side. You could argue that putting the shadow striker on the left and have him cross in, so you've got crosses coming in from both sides, not just on the right. And then hold up the ball for the shadow striker. Maybe we do want it that way around. That makes sense. So if we did wide target forward attack like this, then we got winger crossing in to this guy, crossing in, this guy crosses, this guy holds up the ball for this guy, boom, boom, boom. This guy doesn't need to hold up the ball. He does still hold up the ball somewhat because we've got underlap, but not as much. So this makes as much sense, if not a little bit more sense. So trying to make this as efficient and logical as possible. Yeah, efficient and as logical as I can. Boom. And then in terms of, I don't know if I need a replacement for him. I've got a lot of players that can play this role, but no one I love. But maybe that's something we can look into next season. We still have Kolpani at the club, so he's going to be here as well. But I think that Kolpani, while still being here, is going to be the other wide target forward on the left, which means Berardi and Goodmanson are going to be here. Iodinis is going to be a mixture. That means we're going to have Lazzari, Spinazzola, Guerrera, and there's going to be 4 players who can play that role for this season. And then I think I got Spinazzola on a 2-year loan. If there's anything mistake that I've made or anything that I regret so far, I think it'd be a 2-year loan move for Spinazzola, as it was probably better to get him on a 1-year loan, see how he played. But we haven't tested him out as an inverted wingback, only as the winger. And he hasn't been amazing. If we look at the top performers, Goodmanson and Kolpani, whoever's played shadow striker in the system has been amazing. Obviously Keane with the goals. A lot of these guys are backup players and played in the weaker games. But out of the guys who have played consistently, it's only really our inverted wingbacks who have thrived from this system. Inverted wingbacks and the shadow strikers have thrived, which makes sense. The formation of the team we're playing against right now is a 4-4-2 diamond or a 4-1-2-1-2. Interested to see how our tactic gets on against that. It makes perfect sense for us to play. It might seem like it's not smart to play this tactic, as they have 4 people in the midfield. But the whole point of my tactic is that we have 4 players in the midfield as well, with our inverted wingbacks. So I feel that our tactic actually matches up well with this opposition, more so than most. So I would recommend. This is a fine thing to do. Play a back 3 against a front 2. Always not a terrible idea. And then a 4-man midfield against a 4-man midfield. And we've got 1 striker against their 2 centre-backs. This is Goodmanson linking up with Gosens, who's taken up the space as a wide target forward. And whoosh. That is obviously a very nice result. Quick kind of validation for a tactic change, converting Gosens to a wide target forward on attack. Interesting that he's the one that kind of underlaps and Goodmanson held up the ball for him. I feel happy that we decided to put Goodmanson on the left shadow striker, carry the ball. This is going to be our main dribbler, and finds Gosens, whose player trait is to get into the box, and then scores from that crazy angle. So it's a nice kind of instant gratification of a tactic. That's what you want when you play Football Manager. You want to make tactics and have ideas, look in the match engine and see them ideas come off sooner rather than later. We've got our inverted wing back carrying the ball. We've got Lazzari as our winger, puts a cross in. If Gosens scores here, now I'm feeling a kind of extra good about this this decision. Having our winger aim crosses at wide target forward. So, okay, we're 2 for 2, 15 minutes into the game. So we're kind of way above expectations of these tweaks. And 2 things have happened exactly more or less how we intended, how we planned. This short corner strategy. Goodmanson, another short corner. For those who haven't been following in the last couple of streams, we've scored an insane amount of short corners. And I would say this short corner tactic that I've developed is absolutely broken. But I would say it's broken given that Goodmanson is the target. When we've been doing this with less talented dribblers and shooters as Goodmanson, it hasn't been. It's highly dependent on Goodmanson getting the ball and being in space. Now we've got our inverted wing back here getting a goal. So this is what I'm saying. We've got 4 goals now from a wide target forward underlap with the shadow striker paired with him. We have an inverted wing back goal. We have a short corner goal, and we have a cross from the winger into the wide target forward. So this is 27 minutes into the match, and we've got 4 goals, all derived from executing the plan perfectly. It's not like we're scoring, Matip, what was that? And then he's chased him as well. Pretty bad. So yeah. Some instant kind of validation in these ideas. It's different. Like, say we score a completely different goal. Can we see a corner? You can see it. I'll show you it. But I'll say this. If you have a key amazing dribbler and finisher with good long shots, like the key kind of technical player in your team, that is key person to have the ball delivered to. But I can show you it. I can show you it briefly. We'll go set pieces and on attack, and we've got the here we go. My face might be blocking this a little bit. See if I can move my face out of the way real quick. So yes, this is what we've got. Players staggered in the box. Players staggered like so. Players waiting outside. This line here occupies a lot of the defenders and makes the defenders compelled to that go into this guy is a waste of time. And then we have the same right and left, obviously. And then we just have one of the better crossers in the team taking the corners. It doesn't have to be great. What's under recovery for the defenders? I'm not sure. Can't answer that one. Probably balanced or something like that, if that's what you're asking. If balanced is an answer that makes sense, then the answer is balance. Can you send a tactic? No, I'm not sending any tactics to anyone ever. I've decided that I'm never going to post tactic bit links to stuff. If for those who don't know, I just don't have an interest in people copying the tactic like for like. I mean, if you wanted to copy the corner routine, I mean, it's not too hard. You could just take a screenshot right there. But any of my tactics that you have, you can see the player instructions, you can see whatever. The reason that I don't like to send tactics is tactics without players, to me, do not make any sense. Okay? So you have this is how I think about football and Football Manager. You have a tactic. Okay, cool. I love your tactic. I'm going to try it. Okay, but what players do you have? Because I've built this tactic for the players that I have. I've changed and tweaked all the instructions, all the player roles, everything to suit the players that I currently have. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So I'm tweaking this tactic to, I mean, we've been very lucky this game. We've got 5 goals from 1.2 XG. It's very, very fortunate. It's not like we've absolutely obliterated them XG wise, but we've capitalized on the little chances that we've had in the game. So the reason I don't like to send tactics is someone will test a tactic of mine, and I've heard this many times, and they'll make a tactic that's very similar. I have a guy that copied my tactics and made YouTube videos out of them, and then forgot to he basically used completely different player instructions than me. He actually left the player instructions blank. Now, you could argue, hey, if you want your tactic represented correctly, then if you just shared your tactic, there wouldn't be this mistake. Well, I didn't know it was ever going to happen. Secondly, my whole thinking behind Football Manager is I don't want people just to copy. I don't want them to just take this tactic and plug it in. I want them to make a better version of my tactic. And a tactic that's more customized to the players that they have. He didn't play it short. I mean, they don't play it short 100% of the time, but nearly scored from that set piece. So yeah, sending the tactic kind of doesn't really inspire me or shouldn't inspire anyone. Like, you're seeing the tactic tested right now in real time. You're seeing that it's working. You're seeing that it does well. But why is it doing well? Well, a lot of the reasons that make the tactic do well is everything is designed around the players that I currently have or are going to acquire. And then I'm building a team specifically around this tactic or getting players that can do it. Such a huge component of this tactic comes down to Goodmanson being insanely good on the ball and having players that have the correct marking. Yeah, sharing the words, setting up a tactic should be enough. Yeah, so you could make a variation of this quite easily, copying what you've seen right now. It's really easy to replicate it, but I just want to encourage people to make it like you don't want to copy my tactic. You're going to have the same results or worse because you're going to use different players. However, you can use this tactic and make it better. I by no means think that this is the absolute best. I don't want to play Quarter if I'm going to sell him. Him getting injured would really stop some potentially good things happening. So people feel like when I'm like, I don't want to send you this tactic, I don't know what the reason, like what the negative reason they might believe that I don't want to send it is for. Like, I don't know, gatekeeping or just, I don't know. But for me, you can just make your own 3-3-1-3 with similar instructions, but customized to the individual player. Like, the reason we have a wide target forward is because we have Gosens. However, Gosens is a bit of a unicorn. If you type in the attributes that Gosens has in the scouting section and you look for similar players to Gosens, they basically don't exist. Same as McTominay. McTominay's a unicorn. Gosens is a unicorn. Goodmanson is a unicorn. So I forget who it was. This is another inverted wingback goal, by the way. I forget who it was that says there's no tactics without players. So, and I would extend that to say there's no tactics without opposition either. So I believe that tactics, players and opposition tactics are the two biggest factors in deciding your tactic. So that when people are like, let me copy your tactic, it's like you're ignoring basically the two main things I believe in, which is what is your opponent's tactic and how can we create something to get the best out of your current players that you have. And unless you was to assemble a very, very similar squad, which would be difficult because, like I said, Gosens unicorn, McTominay unicorn, Biraghi. Okay. Outside of Biraghi and that guy that I showed, the Oliveira for Napoli, there isn't many 6'1" centre-back, left-backs who have 14 plus crossing. Trust me, because I've looked for them. There aren't that many in the world. So this is a niche kind of tactic built for this. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense and hope helps you understand why I don't really like. If I made a tactic like, share this tactic is OP. Yes, for plug and play stuff. Plug and play just basically means there's a very generic tactic that basically you can throw anyone in any of the roles and it's going to do well. Most of the tactics I make are not generic. Wow, Parisi's just killing it as this inverted wingback. And again, I'm not going to go through it right now, but we have scored an insane, I think it's 10 plus goals from short corners, which is not good. The reason it's not good is that it kind of masks failings of this tactics, a bit like Arsenal in real life. Spoken like a true Arsenal fan. But kind of masks the fact that we're getting a lot of goals from set pieces, which will cover up some of our open play attacking inadequacies. And then if I showed you how many goals we got from inverted wingbacks, are you Arteta out? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No way. No way. Arsenal been particularly unlucky this season. Bad in parts, amazing in others, but nah, not Arteta out. But yeah. So my point was, yeah, set piece routine is absolutely broken, and I'm proud. I don't normally just do generic kind of near post, obvious kind of set pieces. We didn't have anyone who's kind of crazy tall. Normally how I build teams is 3 or 4 massive guys, aim crosses in at near post or back post, sometimes a mixture, and that's what I've been doing. But because we lack some height, and this is the same thing that I'm trying to say about adjusting tactics to who you have. Because we didn't have anyone particularly tall, but we had Goodmanson, who's an insane dribbler, insane attacker, has insane attacking qualities where you can imagine if this guy receives the ball edge of the box and drives into the box with his long shots and dribbling, like he's going to be lethal. So adjusting for the players that we have allowed me to think of this tactic. if I continue to just do my near post thing, we'd lose the ball way more than we'd create good chances because we don't have a particularly tall team. So kind of working around the meta. This tactic right now is anti-meta. We're getting rid of people who are extremely fast, like Kawami, to replace them with players that suit the system more. And then we're not doing regular crosses into the box, near post. We're doing short corners, which I used to think were terrible, but kind of was forced. Thank you so much for the follow, Wham. I'm kind of forced into that decision by just adjusting based on what we have. We have a Europa League game here in the week, and then we have Napoli. So we'll play a rested side as possible. However, I don't want to play players who are in the middle of potentially leaving, because if they get injured, then we won't be able to sell them, which will lead to more problems. Mandragon maybe can play as a centre-back for this game. Adley, we can play Bove or Spinazzola, maybe Bove. We've talked about Kolpani as a potential wide target forward. He's not even on this list, so we'll put Kolpani here and we'll move him in. Shadow striker for when Goodmanson's not playing. I'm going to play Cataldi just because he's on loan. He's not great dribbler. I would change, if I wanted to play optimally, I'd change this to a not dribble more role. But considering we're playing an opposition who are not particularly strong, I'm not going to just change it for him. This guy's suspended, which sucks because I really like playing him. We could play Spinazzola here to give him some game time. Lazari started last game, so I guess we can play Dodo. Dodo's transfer is already going through, so if he gets injured, it's not a big deal. We're going to play... I don't want to play Kawami because he's in the middle of a transfer, and if he gets injured, the transfer doesn't go through, then we are stuck and we won't be able to get the Aya Dinis guy, who I'm really interested in starting. So very much a backup team outside of Keane. Kolpani is a first team regular, and I would like to play Kolpani most games. An issue I'm having is I want to sign him, and the more I play him, the more his value goes up. So I'm torn between playing him every game and not signing him, or playing him some games with the hope that his value doesn't go up. Okay, offers for Kawami, 11.5, 11.5. I believe the other offer that I got was 11.5 as well. Is that right? Yeah, all 11.5. Don't mind who it goes to. Bournemouth, Marseille, McKennie, Weston McKennie. Cool. Weston McKennie, get him on loan, option to buy, can play as that right wide centre-back role, and then step into midfield like a Libero, get wide. Like, he adds so much fun. Like, if we think of it from a very undervalued right now, this guy could be a fine replacement for Ranieri in the meantime before we get so-and-so. Let's see if he will take noteworthy players. Nah, majority. All right. This would be a fine replacement, short-term for Ranieri. Kind of offers exactly the same kind of thing. The difference is this guy will be happy, whereas Ranieri is unhappy with his playing time. Something we could look at. Oliveira is the guy that I really want. I don't use set pieces. I leave it for the set pieces coach. They are very different set pieces coach. Defend more, attack more, less more. Okay. Thank you so much for the raid, Lamb Kebab. Thank you for the raid. Thanks. Hi, Scala. Glad it's your first time tuning in. I've been doing a lot of waffling today. Thank you for the follow, Lamb. Any consistency. I think making the most out of set pieces is super smart. I think every team should look to do it. The negative is obviously if you focus too much on set pieces. I'm talking about real life. If you focus too much on set pieces, then kind of you don't really... this is a good one. Okay, Berardi for 5.5 million. This is a perfect example of someone who is you talk about wonder kids and how they're undervalued. And yes, with wonder kids, you get the potential resale value. You also have the negative that you don't have a complete player just yet. You need that player to grow. How you've got here. Oh, hi, buddy. Happy New Year. How you doing? Yeah, it's going good. Thank you. So with here, you've got a complete player for 5 million. He's going to play for at least 2 seasons. And this is a top level player for Serie A for 5 million. That is a bargain. And disregarding players who are 29, 30, 31, who are extremely undervalued. Italians in Football Manager are particularly undervalued as well. If you look at the signings that we've made of Lazzari and Berardi now, another couple of players where they're completely undervalued in my opinion. We've been doing some scouting and there's some... we are doing our scouting via looking at specific attributes and then looking for players that suit these attributes. And looking at centre-back cover for Matip. Fidalgo as well is just stupidly undervalued. Like, if we look at this player, currently in my 7th year of Vicenza, trying to win the first Serie A, 2 games left of the season, level points with Juventus. Very nice. Like, this quality of player, this guy is way too good and on way too little wages to be here. The problem is, in my team, where is he going to play? If he plays inverted wing-back, he just doesn't have the marking, tackling, or strength to do anything defensively. If he plays as kind of a backup shadow striker, I could see him being a backup shadow striker to Berardi. Yeah. Backup shadow striker to Berardi. Maybe we can... Let's get our business done. And then we'll see if we can do a buy and get him at the end of the season. I don't want to get him in right now and him not have any playing time. Garcia's my ideal DM. He's my ideal playmaker that sits in front of the back three. Duro was another potential for wide target forward. I preferred the Greek guy a decent amount more. Ito, probably long term. Another guy I don't mind as left side centre back. What I look for in the left side centre backs are guys that technically could play fullback, but I'm playing them in a back three, and playing very attack-minded guys of attacking player traits. So McKennie has got loads of attacking player traits, and what that does is basically makes us like a 4-2-3-1 a lot of the time, or gets into this area, this guy moves over. So, yeah. Ah, what's up? Fury, how's it going, bud? Okay, delay transfer. I love this guy. We've got him. That's cool. A lot of clubs are interested, including PSG, which is weird. Happy New Year, my friend. How's it going? Nice to see you. So, yeah, this kind of player likes ball played into feet, runs with the ball often, wide target forward. Going to mix him and McTominay as my wide right-sided wide target forwards. So for those who missed it, we kind of created a tweak. I wouldn't say we created a tactic, but we made big tweaks to our tactic. Current tactic we have is called Ted Lasso on Shrooms. It's a 3-3-1-3, bit asymmetric. You could call it a 3-3-4 if you wanted. I wouldn't mind that. Up to you. And then what tweaks did we make? We changed to a wide target forward and a winger crossing on the right. We did get a goal from that. And then in our first match, we got... one of the other things we have pass ball in space. Do you play left DC right-footed and DCR left-footed for through balls? Left DC. Which is the left DC? I'm right. I'm confused which positions you mean, Tiki Press. Do you mean these guys here? I'm not entirely sure which positions you're referring to. But this game we got Cataldi, he's right-footed, right? But this guy's either-footed. Goodmanson must be either-footed based on how he plays. Reasonable. 2 ball-playing defenders. It's much better to have the left-footed player on the left and the right-footed player on the right. Not necessarily through balls. It's for when they get into these attacking positions. So this guy comes in, this guy goes out. We get these guys the right and left side centre-backs because they've got great crossing. And we want them to be on their strong outside foot. They're one of the very few players who are crossing the ball into the box. And we'll be the only players crossing the ball into the box. I think once we get 2 wide target forwards instead of 1 wide target forward. But yes, big thanks for your help with tactic adjustments. You helped me on my stream a while back. End up completing a full octagon with trophies. Wow. Nice. Nice one. No problem. So, we play with a back three, but it's a very adventurous back three. And you see this is what you want to pay attention to. This guy's got run wide with the ball, which is the key player trait you want. So by him dribbling out wide, we've stretched his player. Look at this space now created. Look at the space now created from that just one run, and kind of they don't often try to do risky passes now. They just do a normal amount of passes. Baragi is a centre-back, and he's got the player trait, tries long-range passes, and is still well within the realm of normality. It's not something that's like extremely stupid, but they try too many risky things. What you've got to remember is, yes, they have take more risks when you play a ball-playing defender. It also has focus play. So the reason you play 3 ball-playing defenders and not a ball-playing defender and 2 wide centre-backs is because they have hard-coded into them focus play, which is a bit like a playmaker. All playmakers and wide target forwards and target forwards have focus play. So what that just means is they're going to cycle possession. But if you have 2 ball-playing defenders, they're going to pass to each other a lot. If you've got 3 ball-playing defenders, they're going to pass to each other a lot. So it kind of negates the fact that they're on take more risk. See, look at this short corner tactic, okay? I know we got a goal from it. Again, this is 2-2. But look at the difference in having Spinazzola as the target versus, what's his name? Goodmanson. So Spinazzola gets the ball and then looks to pass it straight back to this guy in an offside position, as opposed to Goodmanson, who would have got the ball and drove straight at the goal and took a shot or something. So although I think this short corner routine is really good and I've made something that's arguably broken, it is broken dependent on the player. And I say that again, that this tactic is somewhat arguably broken. I'd say it's underpowered. Somewhere in between underpowered and broken. Here, see if he goes for the short corner again to Spinazzola. Spinazzola is extremely free. Again, you can see. And Spinazzola plays it straight back and they're passing between them. We do get another goal from this. I feel silly that we keep scoring from these short corners. But I still think this short corner would be extremely better if it was Goodmanson who receives the ball here rather than Spinazzola. More attack-minded, dribbly, long shot guy as opposed to just a whatever. But yeah, you'll see this must be 12 in 15 games for short corner goals. So I'm real happy that this is happening. However, this isn't a great example of it. The tactic and the set piece tactic thrives when the correct players are in the correct positions. Like this tactic right now, when these inverted wingbacks get shots off, that is good. It's a good thing. But when they're the inverted wingbacks with good shooting, which is the intention, makes much more sense, right? So the goal is to get good long-range shooters in the inverted wingback roles, the inverted wingbacks. So we've got 2 games now and 2 examples of a bunch of inverted wingback goals, Bove and Spinazzola in this case, and in last match it was Parisi with 2. And then we're having a lot of short corner goals. And yeah, the tactic is designed to make sure these inverted wingbacks get into the box and get into these attacking positions. Do you change the priority in corners? How so? What do you mean? Like, do I have one that's short? Do I have one that's different? Like, I'm not sure what you mean. But in my normal corner tactics, I'll do a mixture of front post and near post and never short corners. And like I explained, basically, because we don't have tall players, oh, yeah. I don't change the priority. Yeah. I change the priorities. Like, who's the tallest goes in the box. Like, who's to target, who I want to target. Do I rank them? Yes. Do I rank the players who are the guys who receive the ball outside of the box? Yes. Like, Goodmanson is ranked number 1. Oh, That's not what you're referring to. Sorry. So we've got here another example of a goal type that we create. He might be offside in this case. Oh, he's awarded. So this is another goal type that we create. Wide ball playing defender on dribble more. He's going to carry the ball into this space, right? In this tactic, it's essential that these two players are on dribble more. And the reason is they've got a lot of space to take up. So you want these guys driving. I do like the player trait runs wide with the ball, which makes this player go centrally because of Football Manager's positional play. But yeah, I think that everything is dependent on the players, which is why I don't like I could take an OP tactic, that is a base OP tactic, and definitely intentionally put players in to make it not work as well as it could. Again, it's not like we're smashing this team XG-wise. It's still just a modest 1.8 after 61 minutes. But that's kind of in the guidelines of what you would expect playing a team where you can't... If you can't pronounce the team that you're playing, you probably should be beating them convincingly, right? If you don't know who the team is, you probably should be beating them pretty convincingly, I'd say. And then this would fall under, yes, performing well, yes, have scored some goals in the manner in which you wanted, but it isn't exactly complete dominance, complete blowout. They're playing a 4-4-2, and I do think this tactic is very good against a 4-4-2. I would advise, we've played it against a 4-4-2 diamond and a 4-4-2 and a 3-5-2 recently, and all of them make sense. There's nothing to me that screams, whoa, this is a bad matchup for us, or it's illogical, doesn't make sense, or there's too many negatives, too many issues. I am going to risk Kawata. I think it's probably not necessary at this point, but we're doing it anyway. Kolpani wide target forward. Bove is going to come off. We could do Moise Keane for Kawame as well. It's fine. So yeah, I hope what I said made sense. I forgot what I said, but I hope it makes sense. Someone wants to remind me. But yeah, right now, not like, despite the scoreline, 6-0, 4-0 currently, is doing well, but it's quite player dependent. I can't imagine someone else having the exact same results with different players. With some tweaks, I could imagine it working much better, especially if you've got these perfect inverted wingbacks. We went out of our way to really make sure that those were the players that we had, the right players for that job. Cataldi to Dodo. I'm happy with the players that we're letting go as well. Dodo, pretty good for our original plan. Arguably could be a wide target forward despite being 5'5". A lot of the emphasis around wide target forward is that just they receive the ball and are strong enough to hold it up. I don't think balls are played to the wide target forwards in a manner of which... It's another short corner goal, by the way, guys. Hey, should I make this... I don't share my tactics, but I probably should share this corner routine, right? The rate in which goals are created from this corner routine is becoming quite something that I probably should make a YouTube video and share this, share the short corner routine, considering the amount of goals that we've been getting from it in the last 15 or so games. It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, rudimentary win against a easier side. We played kind of a stronger team than we would generally, so I mean, losing that game would be absolutely nuts. Moise Keane with another good performance. He's played pretty well in the last couple of games where we've started him as a complete forward. I do think he fits the profile complete forward. I'll upload it to YouTube probably, and then include include the include what is it? Include the short corner set piece routine. So here I'll show you. This is what the set piece routine looks like. I'll get my face out of the way real quick. Let's put me down here temporarily. So this is what we've got in terms of aerial threats, box threats, and then key creators. We always make sure that our key creator is our best player on the ball, our best dribbler, best long shot, best finishing, and this is Goodmanson. We make sure that our best crosser, not necessarily our best corner taker. And the reason we want a better crosser than the ball than we do a corner taker is these guys often play 1-2s to each other. So you've got a corner taker who passes to your... but yeah, aerial threats is somewhat irrelevant. But yeah, key creators, we always have Goodmanson. We have Baraghi as the corner taker because he's the best corner taker, but he's also the best crosser on the pitch. Okay? And then the key players with the best long shots, best dribbling and stuff like this, long shot technique, we can see we put Goodmanson and Cole Parney in these roles. So these are these things we change depending on who we play, but we make sure that we get the best long shotters in. We don't prioritize Cataldi because he barely plays, so we're not really worried about it too much. But yeah, I'll show you the left side as well. This is the left side. Again, you see the stagger. These players in the box have to be staggered. Almost think of it as in these players are blocking from anyone wanting to rush out to this guy. All of the players in the box are basically designed around blocking and forcing. Like, notice that we only have one player back, and that is so we can crowd the box, and then the box is crowded so that they leave the guy alone to receive the ball. So don't just do short corners. Make sure that you've got these players in the box occupying defenders so this guy can receive and then go and shoot and score, or play 1-2s with the other guy who's great at crossing. The reason crossing, you could have a bad corner taker who's good at crossing. I'd much prefer that. And then they play the pass and then they play 1-2s to each other, as opposed to a good corner taker. A good corner taker isn't really something I want. And the reason a good corner taker is not something I want is because he's not taking corners. He's just doing one pass and then he might receive the ball again and then he'll enter the realm of crossing. And because Baraghi's such a good crosser, he's got 16 crossing, you can then sometimes get goals from short corners from that guy then crossing the ball back into the box when you've got all the aerial threats. But yeah, I think that that is one of my better set piece tactics I've ever made, and I'm kind of fortunate that I decided. Normally, I would never have been able to invent that. And the reason I would never invent it is because I'm so obsessed with having tall players and wanting to have tall players and great corner takers. And because this tactic, I'll show you why. If you're wondering why this became a thing, and it's because we're playing a fullback as centre-back and another fullback as centre-back, so our only tall player is Matip. Outside of that, yes, we do have some generic height, and when McTominay arrives, we'll have some height. But in terms of targets that you'd want to hit from a corner, we only really have Matip. So we're selling Kouame here for 11.5 million, and we're replacing them with the Greek Ioannidis. He needs a nickname or someone to teach me how to say it. It's probably pronounced much easier than I'm overcomplicating it, potentially. But yeah, we'll get the Greek guy in. Different kind of profile to Kouame. Can play as my complete forward. See, notice when I sign players, they're not just playing one position. So we increase the chance of success for this guy. McTominay as a striker. Yeah, he's going to actually be a wide target forward, McTominay is. So this guy's going to be either complete forward or wide target forward, two roles we're currently playing. So when I sign players, it's always kind of under the guise that if it doesn't work out in a position, I know there's another position in my system that they're going to play in perfectly. So yeah, hope that And then here, Kawata's going, 13.5 million. We'll have more than enough funds in the bank now to get in Stanisic. Ioadnin. That is the phonetics that you've given me there are arguably as hard to say his name. Ioadinis. That's cool. Ioadinis. But the phonetics you've given me are arguably harder to say than his actual name. Ioanini. I mean, that phonetic there is just even more challenging. All right, so we're back to a full strength team. You like Ioannidis. All right, we're going to Gea in goal. We love De Gea in goal. We're going Biraghi. Biraghi's my favorite player in the whole team. The reason Biraghi's my favorite player in the whole team is because he tries long-range passes, which is cool. Avoids using weaker foot, whatever. He's in the process of learning to run with the ball down the left. He's got enough ball carrying, enough ball playing abilities, but he's also sneakily got 16 crossing, which if ever he gets into these areas, which we are planning on, we have step up more. We have some other stuff to encourage him. Once he's learned runs with the ball down the left, we will have get forward whenever possible as a trade. Looking forward to Weston McKennie getting in the team, but for the moment we're playing Coyote as a ball playing defender. Hasn't got necessarily the height. He's got the bare minimum height, but he's got all the other attributes you'd want, plus runs wide with the ball. Whether he has it now or not, I'm not sure. Bove's my favorite when it comes to Ioannidis. Ioannidis. Cool. So we got Bove in better wing back. He's got good passing, good. He's quite industrious, more industrious than I'd like, but does well in the job. Does well at this. His work rate allows him to help with the deficit we have in midfield most cases. Parisi has been absolutely killing it as inverted wingback. His ability to dribble the ball and cut inside makes him absolutely deadly. Very hard to deal with. Then we have this guy who I just absolutely love as a DM. I like my DMs to look like they could play centre-back at any given time. That kind of makes up for the fact that we're lacking a centre-back. We kind of get our defensive numbers up in aggregate by playing like this because the rest of the team's so attacking. Goson's back to being wide target forward. He did great last time. We're going to continue with Lazzari. Lazzari's going to be phased out of the team once we get McTominay and the other guy, and we're going to play with two wide target forwards cross into each other, which to me seems cool. I like the idea of two guys that can hold up the ball, but then also two guys that can cross to each other. And having both of the guys having aim crosses at target forward will be cool when we get it. Keane has to start. He's a little bit tired playing in the last game, but we are going to play him regardless. Is this, my question, we're getting Berardi, which is cool. And my question is this game a 6-pointer? Like, is it critical? They do have a game in hand, but they don't look like catching us necessarily. We have the game in hand, 4 points clear still. Key game at home against a top quality Napoli side, a McTominay-less Napoli side. Yeah. So, have I been tinkering with throw-ins or not yet? Nah, I haven't really delved into throw-ins as much. I've never really found like a super good idea. Obviously, one idea you have is just getting a guy who's really good at long throws and then throwing it long. Okay, we're getting Stanisic in, 4.7 million coming out. I like Stanisic because he has all the qualities to play as a central centre defender, just about, but he still has the dribbling and crossing to play. I like players that look like they could play right back as centre backs to be my wide centre back. And then the other thing I really like about Stanisic is he's left and right footed, so provides a lot of cover in case of injuries. But it's not just injuries that I have to worry about. It's, say I get Weston McKennie and he's terrible at being a ball-playing defender. I mean, there's a chance. Every player that I'm getting right now, I'm choosing to play out of position, has a chance of not doing that job well. Maybe I overvalue or maybe overestimate kind of what that player can do in that role. if we get Weston McKennie and he doesn't do great, then at least we've got Stanisic who can do that job, because you'll see like there's a good amount of players already that we've kind of thought would do great and haven't really done amazing, Spinazzola being one of them. Spinazzola looks more suited to be an inverted wing back more so than he is an attacking winger. So I really do see Spinazzola being the backup inverted wing back. Probably replaces Bove, who's currently his loan's going to expire, and then Spinazzola will be the backup. Guerrerian will be the guy, unless we can find a really good replacement. The player that my dream player for that inverted wing back role would be Ederson, who plays for Atalanta. He'd be very expensive, but he is my dream player for that position. He has everything. He is just so perfectly well-rounded and has everything you'd want for that role. However, somewhat unlikely we get him, depending on what money we have. We have to evaluate in the summer. I don't really know what Fiorentina's budget will be come next season. If it's a really big budget, like 50, 55 million, something like that, maybe we could sell a couple of stars and then we can just grab whatever players we love the most for them roles. I don't care about youth intake. Not something I'm interested in. I'm interested in making a tactic perfect more than I am building a club, and I'm more interested in making a tactic around really special individuals, and I don't feel you get that from youth players. You can, if you get really insanely good regens that are very niche, then you could build cool tactics around them, but it's not something I'm too interested in doing the save. So we're playing against a 3-4-3, and that seems fine too. I'm happy with that. I feel this tactic lines up well with that. I feel the only tactic this one might not really work the best against is 4-2-3-1s. But even then, I don't feel that it has any kind of huge issues. Any tactic that has 4 players in the middle is cool, because we kind of do as well. But yeah, here we go. Napoli. I am tempted to change this to single and single like this. I'll show you what I mean. I think that there's not really any kind of huge negative to this. Yep, against the 4-2-4 is absolutely fine as well. Like I said, this lines up well with against 4-4-2s, diamond 4-4-2s, 4-2-4s. I wouldn't think that I need to change anything drastically. This is fine in my DM. Looking for the wide target forward. Lovely. I think he might be off. If he's not off, this is great. And this looks like a goal. Looks nice. And okay, so we got a wide target forward here. Holds up the ball. Plays to the DM. The DM finds and receives in between the lines. Wide target forward again. Finds the cross to the winger who's there at the back post and gets a goal. Another goal that it's not taking credit for. It's just when you make a tactic, if you're scoring goals that aren't really how you thought you would get goals, if that makes sense, you're scoring some goals, but you're like, this is not really what I planned. That's kind of a bad sign. Whereas if you are scoring goals in a way, like that would be a perfect example of how I feel we'll get goals. Dribble more centre-back there, Matip. Matip switches around, becomes right-side centre-back. We've got inverted wing-back here, charging into the box. Another inverted wing-back goal. If you do your DM anchor, I would never play an anchor. Look at him and look what he's doing. He's getting all around the pitch, moving around as DM. So you think Targ has carded like playmakers with focus more? Let's have a look. While on the subject, I'll show you what my point is, hopefully, right? There's a website called Rate My Tactic, okay? I don't like debating on whether Rate My Tactic is good to use to create tactics or not. I just use it as a tool. So if we click this role here and we go target man on support, and then we click this guy and we go wide target man on support. And then we click this role. It will tell you instructions that it has hard coded in the game that doesn't necessarily say in the tactic UI for the game. And instructions here says focus play. And then we'll look at target forward here, and then it says focus play. So focus play is hard coded into wide target forward and target forward, I believe. So we're focused in a play, find them players, they're holding up the ball and then playing into others. So if we look at DLP, this has focus play. But if we look at, say, defensive midfielder on defend, doesn't have focus play. So when we play with a regista or a regista or a Roman playmaker, that does mean focus play to that guy. The guy's going to just receive the ball more. So yeah, ball playing defenders have focus play. Wide target forwards have focus play. Target forwards have focus play. And then all the playmaker roles have focus play as well. Getting an early 2-0 lead against Napoli is great. Scoring 2 goals, getting another goal from an inverted wingback situation. The inverted wingbacks are incredibly hard to track because if their opposition wingers do not track the inverted wingbacks, they're so far forward, they've got a head start already, and then they're driving in centrally. Basically, they're losing their marker every time, right? I'm so surprised how much Parisi Parisi was a great example there. I don't know if you caught that one. It was very quick. Parisi's run that he made there into midfield was like so lightning and so quick. There is no one that is picking him up. This is the whole kind of philosophy behind this tactic, is these guys have no reason to not run into the box or run into dangerous areas, right? Not necessarily the box, but making them runs. Okay, Matip on a yellow, we'll monitor that. He's not a player I can just replace right now. I don't have anyone even close to being as good with him. Moise Keane's going to come off, and we're going to play Kopani as the complete forward. This is more of the type of complete forward that I want, which is kind of an attacking midfielder, right? He can do a bit of dribbling, finishing, passing, still strong, still tall, relatively good jump and reach. Kind of like playing an attacking midfielder as that complete forward is more so what I want than Keane, who is more an out-and-out complete forward, pressing forward, advanced forward type player. It's not ridiculous to play Moise Keane as a striker. It's pretty standard. That's what you would expect. And what we're looking at doing is playing players in less conventional roles to not just bust the myth that you can't play players out of position. I'm saying the opposite. Oh, please, if he just scored, I could have looked so cool. I'm not just busting the myth that you can't play players out of position. I'm saying that you should play players out of position, even more so. Like what I'm doing with this save and this tactic and this configuration of players is I'm saying that playing players out of position is advised, not necessarily proven that they can. I'm saying that it's arguably even better. And the theory behind that is, I've mentioned this a couple times, but just to reiterate for people that might be seeing this for the first time or haven't seen previous videos, is that, for example, Baraghi is a perfect example. Is that, say we had a conventional left side centre back. Can't think of a clear example off the top of my head right now, but let's say Gabriel for Arsenal. Conventional left side centre back that could play in a back three, left footed, does all the defensive things well, but doesn't necessarily have incredible attacking attributes. We're getting bossed here. That's a good goal. Zambo Anguissa, one of my favourite players on Football Manager. Arguably my favourite player. If I did a draft mode, he'd be the player that I target the most. Perfect inverted wing back. So I'm saying that having a player like Baraghi versus a player like Gabriel, yes, you sacrifice some defensive qualities. Okay, you sacrifice defensive qualities because Baraghi's not as good as Gabriel defensively. However, he does have insanely good attacking qualities for a defender. And if they are utilized, they're a kind of sneaky way. A sneaky way in which that player can then... Spinazzola's been terrible, Dodo. He's got sneaky attacking attributes that he shouldn't necessarily have for that position. Makes him incredibly hard to... no, I can't believe that, Zappa. Makes him incredibly hard to defend because he has all these attributes they shouldn't have, such as playing good defensive players as striker. You've seen me do this many times. When I had the Palmer save, I signed a striker who was good at tackling and good at marking, and he would win the ball back so much more in dangerous positions than other players would, purely because he has sneaky tackling, marking, positioning for a striker. Gave him a quality that not many strikers possess. Very hard to even think what to do about having to defend that, right? Because you've got a striker now who's all strikers press, right? They run. But now you've got one who's got incredibly good tackling, marking, positioning, and who's capable of winning the ball back up high. This is not something that playing with teams who play out from the back are going to expect too much, is that you've got this random sneaky striker that's got all these good defensive qualities. Obviously, every time you do that, you make a trade, right? You're trading for someone. We're running out of attacking players here. You're trading a shadow striker. You're trading off, right? You're getting someone with random sneaky attributes for someone who would specialize in that role. And okay, Gosens has to come off. I'm thinking about sneaking in Kawami. All right. Mm-hmm. Like this. Yeah, like this. So yeah, there's obviously a give and take, but my point that I'm just trying to make with this save and just in general is you can always give up something and you're getting something else in exchange. People disregard the thing that you get in exchange all the time, or vice versa. You give up what you're giving up is like, you say you get a Goodmanson, right? He's amazing. He's the key playmaker in our team. He's amazing. He offers zero defensively, and I do mean zero. So you're obviously giving up. Oh, Matip. What is Matip doing? If we lose the ball here, inverted wing back. Oh, yeah. I've been using fullbacks and centre backs, wide target forward, thinking to press. Yeah, very nice. You'll notice in a lot of games that we play that the fullbacks of the opposition have a horrible time. Not necessarily in this game, but in other matches, you'll notice that fullbacks have a horrible time because they're being tracked by fairly decent marking wingers. And you could make arguments on both sides that giving up some attacking threat from wingers to be able to have a bit of marking seems silly, but I'm not seeing the results speak for themselves right now. I wouldn't necessarily call this conclusive. We've been fortunate, very fortunate in a lot of situations to kind of be able to make these claims. Like, we're being fortunate and now we're making a claim based on fortune, but it is an idea that I've had that's coming off well, that sacrificing a bit of attacking quality for the attackers to make them better defensively, and then making that trade to make my defenders more attacking, so that the aggregate for defensive attributes and attacking attributes are kind of evening out, but they're in areas of the pitch you wouldn't necessarily expect them to be in. I hope that made sense. It felt like it made sense in my head. If it didn't make sense, please let me know. If that was complicated to explain, if it was perfectly understandable, let me know. If it wasn't, then let me know also. So yeah, bit of a trade-off. So if you think about it as in different type of teams, like when Man United, say they play Mazzouri, and then you got Martinez. When Man United do start to perform better, which I'm sure is coming at some point, you will see them wide centre-backs making runs, getting into attacking positions and evading their marker, right? The key point is because you've got more attack-minded defensive players, the opposition attackers are not going to track or defend them as well as you are, vice versa. You're going to be able to, you have the ability to track players because you've got good marking, good tackling, higher average attacking marking on your attackers. And then they have wingers and attackers that can't defend. So makes sense. I love the idea. Like, part of me, this is a simplistic form, right? Say you do a very Arsenal style strategy, which is you have your defenders defending and your attackers attacking. That makes perfect sense because everyone's doing what they're best at. The negatives of that are you now lack unpredictability. And now, even more so of Arteta, you have the attackers defending as well. You now fall into the bit too defensive category. Now, if you look at a team like Inter Milan, where you've got a lot of your defensive players doing the attacking, that becomes very unpredictable and extremely hard to deal with for other teams because you've got all these players defending, coming into attack, and then your attackers having to defend them makes it extremely more challenging and unpredictable and not a thing. Like, you're not used to that, right? It's not a normal thing. So there's, again, two philosophies, two trade-offs. I just, at the moment, I very much like the idea of defenders doing the attacking. Like when we're playing 7-a-side at the moment, you've got people making runs from defense into the box. No one's picking up that player because you would have to run the length of the pitch also. And unless you're going to have your striker doing the full track back, run back to the box with the same enthusiasm as the defender who's attacking is, you're basically at a deficit, right? So, yeah. I've over-explained this, but I hope that it's now clear. And then one thing that I think is going to be super cool is when we get Weston McKennie with all of his move into channels, get into opposition area. This is going to be really fun to watch in the match engine. Best thing about doing something silly like this, as opposed to doing something conventional, is we are going to, together, and me, see Weston McKennie play as a wide centre-back and get into opposition area in the box, and it's going to be hilarious. Worst case scenario is it's at least going to be funny, you know? Keep that in mind, that worst case scenario, this is going to be funny. Worst case scenario, McTominay being a wide target forward is going to be funny, right? Yeah. And I'd go as far to argue that Gosens' best position seems to be wide target forward on attack. Like, if you look at him as a player, as a whole, and you had to craft a tactic around the guy, I really like Gosens. If you look at him, he's so weird, right? Because he can't dribble very well, but he's got good finishing, good long shot, relatively. And then isn't necessarily the best passer, but he's got crazy work rate, good tackling, good marking. He's going to offer a lot of things defensively in this position. He's strong enough and tall enough to hold up the ball and win the ball in the air. He's going to be great at getting into back post areas because of his jump and reach and then great heading. So if he just played as a regular wing back, yes, he could utilize his jumping and heading defensively, but using it offensively is great too. His player traits, getting forward whenever possible and getting to the box, allows him to utilize his finishing and crossing. He's got amazing off the ball, which really helps him in terms of attacking stuff. So I like the idea of converting Gosens into a more attacking player and then utilizing him for his attacking qualities while still being able to do good defensive stuff. Again, if you try and find a player like Gosens, like say we had to replace Gosens right now, there isn't many players on planet Earth that could replace him. Like, I've literally tried to find replacements and they don't really exist. This is a a rare position to find. So again, I love building these tactics around certain people. Okay, we're playing against 3-4-1-2, which is cool. Again, I don't think there's any focus play on too many players disrupt the balance a bit. Yeah, well, look, focus play on the centre backs. This is why I kind of took off Regista, Roman Playmaker, especially more so when we get too wide target forwards. But it kind of falls into the main philosophy, which is we've got focus play. We will have focus play on a wide target forward, and the free ball playing defenders. But that's who we are trying to focus the play to. We're trying to focus the play to these guys so they can hold up the ball and bring in others. We're trying to focus the play around these defenders so they rotate, keep possession, and allow these guys to start moving before we do attacks and such. So there is obviously a limit where you're going to say it's too many players and it becomes harmful. But what's interesting, remember there was that argument that people used to say a while back where it's like, too many playmakers is bad. And then I've heard counter arguments, which I fully agree with, is that everyone's a playmaker. Everyone is a playmaker. But in every team, you are focusing the play to areas and to players that you want to target no matter what. Really like Atalanta's team, they're great. Scalvini, great. All their players are great. I love them. I was, when deciding on which team to be, I was torn in between these two. I really liked the idea of playing Edison as an inverted wingback. I liked Zania. Obviously, all these players here are all perfect for what I like. However, I did do a test for this kind of 3-3-3-1 for Willem II, and that was orientated around inverted wingback goal. That was orientated around having a target forward. So I knew that I didn't want to do target forward again. I wanted to move towards maybe wide target forwards. And I didn't really think of Scamacca as a wide target forward. But yeah, inverted wingback again, picking up the ball. Shot from outside the box. Bove this time getting the goal. We've got our DM and our other inverted wingback on a yellow, which is not ideal. I will take them off at half time. I often do subs as soon as players get yellow cards. I talked it into existence. That was my bad. My bad for even saying it. Okay. I haven't thought too much about what I want to do for inverted wingbacks. Okay. So normally I substitute yellow card players on yellow cards instantly for this reason, and then chose to not do it this time. Even in the 20th minute, I like to do it and stuff like that. It's just that Parisi been so good, I didn't want to kind of continue without him. If you're wondering why I've decided to go strikerless as opposed to going with a striker, I would, if I wasn't winning by a goal, I would not go strikerless. I would play with a striker, De Gea. But given that we've already scored a goal, I am happy to play a more defensive style, not necessarily looking to get another goal, just kind of salvage what I can out of this game, given that. Goodmanson's such a good dribbler that he might be able to do okay in this, but it looks like I'm going to have to change him. Now we concede. We instantly change back to needing a goal. We are going to do false 9. He's going to have to do 2 players' jobs. Here. Could move these guys in. This is going to be a problem. My own mistake. I know to substitute players as soon as they're on a yellow, no matter how early it is. But decided to continue with it. So when we lose this game, this was my fault, okay? I'm not blaming anything or anyone. This was me knowing that I should have just subbed them instantly. Be disappointing to lose this one, given that we're now somewhat catchable. Getting a lucky goal would be nice. So based on my theory, we now have to get rid of the yellow carded players. Could go into a Roman playmaker here now, given that we kind of have to create something, but Gosens. Still happy with Gosens is hard one to replace. But yeah, don't be afraid to substitute people in the first half, even after 10, 20 minutes. Having a yellow card and you want to tackle harder all the time is just one of the negatives of playing tackle harder on all players at all times is that you will get more yellow cards, but you can kind of manage that by substituting the yellow card players, which means you need a stronger squad, which is fine anyway, because if you are playing with a high press or trigger press, max trigger press, your players are going to get tired anyway. So having the players rotated by using yellow cards as a way to kind of rest players as well is fine too. It kind of one hand washes the other, so to speak, if you know what I'm saying. Let's go inverted winger. Boom, boom, boom. Mark specific position, get further more, cross more often, sure. Cross more often, low crosses, because Goodmanson is not tall. There we go. Salvaging a draw out of this game would be an amazing result. Parisi being sent off and suspended would not be ideal. Spinazzola creating already. Inverted wingback receives the ball here. Finds a winger. Inverted wingback again. Bang. Lovely. Lovely. Nice little fight back here. That was inverted wingback. Assist to the other inverted wingback. You just notice in this system an abundance of inverted wingback goals and goals from short corners and inverted wingback goals of what saved us here. Again, not picked up by anyone and incredibly hard to defend. I love it. We just have to ride this out. We could stop with this. There is a limit. We're probably kind of over that in terms of how attacking we want to be. I still want to keep my lines up. Yeah, game on. I still want to keep all of this stuff. But just maybe step up more given this circumstance is a bit much. We're still focusing wide, so our deficit in the middle is going to continue. Oy. Oy, oy, oy. It's very, very worrying attack this. You see our inability to defend it here. Okay. Again, we are... Okay. He is tired. Kolpani is going to come on and do this job. Lazari tired. I think we're out of subs by my calculation. Yeah. We tried it. Holding out for a 2-2 is massively respectable, going a man down so early while still trying to salvage something. Little mixture between going for it and sitting back. Obviously, it makes more sense to go for it when you're losing than winning. Strikerless, yeah, get the strikerless in. Strikerless when we're level. Kolpani can do a bit more defensively than Goodmanson, makes us not completely useless in the middle. Lazari being tired, not ideal. But yeah. Not bad. Still Still created almost an XG worth of chances with majority 10 men. If we can see out this draw, I will take it. Parisi, obviously incredible, and we'll miss him in the following games. I'm proud of your work to salvage something in the second half. Of course. These things happen. These things happen when you don't substitute booked players. Now, I don't like this training schedule for this week. It's too much. So we'll just put it on attack. And then we'll just add a... If I was doing this like by myself and I had infinite time, I'd change all this and make it correct. But as I'm mostly just excited to get through to January to bring in some new players, I will kind of speed run the training stuff. Excuse me. So, players that are coming in. We've got McTominay, who's going to be a wide target forward. We've got the Iodinis, who's going to be the other wide target forward / complete forward. We've got Berardi, who's coming in as a replacement for Goodmanson long term. He's going to be the shadow striker backup. We've got McKennie coming in on loan. He's going to be a right wide side centre back. We've got Stanisic, who's going to come in and be the left wide centre back, potentially a replacement for Ranieri. If there's strong interest for Ranieri, who's currently unhappy with his playing time. I've told him he can play more, and then I'm not playing him more. So it's only a matter of time before he gets fully unhappy. And we'll have to deal with that. Saudi are interested in some of my players that I'm not interested in selling. We can now think about... So we're going to get to January 1st. So this could be the final game of this stream. And we'll keep players' happiness in our minds. We know that Ranieri is unhappy, but we can give Baraghi a little rest. And then Guerrerian needs to play. He's concerned about his playing time now. Injuries are a thing. Adley's going to play. My Manda Dragon man has some Saudi interest. If we did have to sell him, I'd replace him with Garcia, but I'd prefer to have him and Garcia. I don't really, because he's so perfect for what I'm trying to do, I'd rather keep him. I'm just going to continue to play Gosens because I like him so much. All of these guys who have satisfied, it's better to keep them happy unless they're leaving. I mean, where's Keane gone? Keane's here. Keane complete forward. Parisi's going to miss this game. That gives me an opportunity to play this guy who I quite like. I like him as my backup inverted wingback. He's still pretty good, especially for this level, Vicenza level. You can see him doing well against this team. De Gea's cool. And then right side centre-back. Quarta deal is done, right? He's agreed terms, so if he gets injured, the deal still goes through. Still pretty strong side to play against Vicenza. I'm excited. Oh, he's ineffective running with the ball down the left. That's one negative of using older players and trying to train traits into them, is that they won't learn the traits as well as young players will. Off stream, I'll probably just begin to retrain him and just keep going over and over that until he begins to learn it. And yeah, very, very happy so far with the league position. When I created this tactic, I did a kind of poll on Twitter. And I asked where you would expect this tactic to finish in the league with Fiorentina, given that they're probably 5th, 6th, 7th best team in Italy. You could argue between that, but they're definitely not top 4. And they said a top 4 finish, like 3rd or 4th, would be a really respectable finish for this position, for this tactic, given this quality of this team. And I was adamant, secretly, like to myself, I was adamant that this tactic and this idea could potentially win the league in the first season, and then even more so in the second season. I gave myself kind of a 2-year goal to make sure I win Serie A with this team. And I don't think we have any kind of outstanding stars, anyone that's completely broken. And that's kind of reflected in the player ratings. Goodmanson is an exception to that, I would say. Goodmanson is probably the busted player in this setup. But doing it with somewhat underrated players in a team that probably, if they finish sixth, would be cool. If a team that finished third would be pretty amazing. Trying to win the league with a team like this in the first year is pretty good, especially with what I would consider a not overpowered tactic. Some floats between the lines of somewhat overpowered to not. Okay, he's back tomorrow. My question right now, is it worth risking Matip for pretty much no reason? Richardson isn't necessarily the best centre back. He's cool. He's just not very quick. I will evaluate who they have up front and see how fast they are. If it's going to be a complete mismatch in terms of speed, then I will probably risk Matip. Not that Matip's even the quickest. It's just that his quality might be required as opposed to downgrade in that specific position. But it does make sense to rest him. Especially as we have Talisca's been released now. I think Talisca's lost a lot of pace. If this acceleration was like 15, I'd be all over this guy, trying to get him as a Goodmanson backup / Goodmanson replacement. That is the kind of player that I'm looking for in that 10 role. Someone who just unbelievable dribbler, unbelievable technical player. But I think with lacking that step of pace, that's probably only going to get worse. I feel maybe is not worth it. We did try and sign him. We tried and sign him and Malcolm, I think it was, as Goodmanson replacements for next season. But they wanted too much wages and maybe wasn't perfect for what we're trying to do. I feel like Berardi is a much better example of it. However, I do see Berardi maybe becoming the striker in this team, like the complete forward, more so than the shadow striker. I might find a real out and out winger type player to play as my 10 because mostly because it's gone so well playing Goodmanson in that role. So some somewhat mixed results right now. We were lucky to hold out against Napoli, red card against Atalanta, but we did win 6-0 against Hellas Verona, and we won 4-0 in the cup, and mostly going great. I'm waiting maybe to catch a bit of momentum where we really start smashing teams, but I think that will come after the signings. I think the new signings are going to be the difference. Oh, manager of the year after this. Okay, his contract expires in 6 months, so he's someone we could pick up and then look to sell Ranieri after this window, so we could keep Ranieri to the end of the season and then bring him in to stop too much turnover. I don't think too much turnover of players is a bad thing. I feel like this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players to bring in January is still quite a lot. So I don't want to go absolutely mental, even though I don't believe I'm not aware of who this striker is. So based on that, I'm going to start Richardson. But if I did know who their striker was, I'd probably start Matip. That's kind of without clicking him or out doing too much. If I was playing perfectly or top tier, I'd analyze all of the players in this team and evaluate. But I think that our quality should override this game regardless. So it doesn't require maximum gameplay type, optimal gameplay. I really like this tactic again against the 4-3-3. I showed examples of this on Twitter. I don't use cover or stopper on ball playing defenders now. You could put stopper if you wanted to on both of the wide centre backs, but I've seen mixed results in that and don't feel it's completely necessary. I think that you can achieve what is required of a stopper through player traits more so than with just having stopper as opposed to whatever. I think basically going stopper cover. Going stopper cover would just be a bit too much. We'll tweak this tactic and give another opportunity for people to see it who haven't seen it, because we had the left corner and we had attack. We had top creators here, Baragi, Goodmanson. I don't know why it was someone else that received the ball there. Maybe Goodmanson was off the pitch at that moment, but that was not ideal. So you can see an example of this short corner routine going terribly when the incorrect person received the ball. So another emphasis on making sure the correct player receives the ball. That is a red card. Making sure the correct player receives the ball from the short corner. So they're a man down now, and we're gonna learn from our mistakes from the last game and make sure Richardson is off for Matip, who we're now prepared to risk. Goodmanson we'll put in the center now. Hi there. Hello. Okay, seems good. Seems good. I like that they've lined up in this 4-1-2-1-1. This is probably, if I could pick their formation, like if I could choose what they would play as a result of what just happened, it would probably be this. So it's always nice when your opponent switches to a formation that you would hope they would play. Kawata, again, doesn't have the attacking qualities of a different profile ball-playing defender like Ranieri, who's going to get in this position here. And the goal was created from basically a dribble more ball-playing defender who has the player trait runs down the ball with the left, which is what Ranieri has, creates a lot of this space, drags two players with him, frees up this guy as a result, frees up Gosens temporarily before he's rushed, creates an opportunity for them to shoot outside of the box. As created just from the ball-playing defender having the ability to drive down the flank, and the opposition not having anything, given that they don't have any wingers right now, don't have anything to kind of combat that. And one of the tricks I would use in competitive Football Manager in draft mode was make sure I had incredibly good wing-backs who could dribble. And then if my opponent ever chose to not play with wingers, those players would be free to cause havoc in build-up because they have no one directly who can press them. You're already going to create problems in the opponent's shape by doing so. Here is the example with Goodmanson, and gets a shot off on goal. Not necessarily the shot I would have liked, but fair enough. Wouldn't say this is a compelling half, but we did miss a penalty. And we did see an opportunity a moment ago, I forgot to mention, with Lazari crossing to Gosens. It's happened again. We have a winger on cross more often, crossing the byline to a target forward, which happens to be the wide target forward. So he's aiming at that back post, which is what we want. Ranieri still on a 6.6, even though I would argue he was instrumental in the goal. Guerrerian for Bove, we're going to bring him on for the work rate. He is a bit more solid, a bit more defensive. We're winning and they got 10 men, so we can afford to we don't need to create as much as we need to be solid. So that's the thinking behind that substitution. I try and think like that in terms of all substitutions that I make. What am I giving up and what am I getting? And what am I giving up? What am I getting? And what does the game state dictate? We're winning and they're a man down. So do we need to be more attacking or more solid? And I would say more solid seems reasonable. While again, we're not parking the bus by any means. We're just changing a slightly more defensive player for a more attacking player. That's it. They're switching this around. The AI is funny. We got Goodmanson. Fairly good set piece taker. Fairly good free kick taker. Always nice to have a couple of good set piece takers in the squad. We've got Baragi and Goodmanson. Baragi's our number one taker, but he's not playing right now. They've switched to our back five with this. Seems reasonable. Still absolutely fine for us. Okay. We can, given that they've had no shots and we've had a good amount of shots, Moise Keane can come off and we'll go with Kolpani. Where's Kolpani? We'll go with Kolpani as the striker. Complete forward. Not for defensive purposes, just for fresh legs and a different look. We'll go right and left. And then Adley can be now Roman playmaker as opposed to a DM. Kind of contradict myself here because this is a bit more attacking than defending, but we want to still score more goals if we can. Lazari's done fine, but I do think this is an opportunity to bring on Spinazzola in a game where we all need Lazari for the future. We won't need Spinazzola as much for the immediate future. Spinazzola, right winger, should drive into the space. Yep. Doesn't have the blistering pace of Lazari, but he's still not slow. Bove here. Ball playing defender, runs with the ball down the left. This is what I love. And another goal from Ranieri. We kept Ranieri on. Remember that his player rating was 6.6, but we didn't want to substitute him because we felt that that was unjust and that he was still able to create a lot. He's got a lot of space down wide. And then I don't like to reduce the intensity. No, I kind of have a strong squad. The only time I would ever want to reduce the intensity is if I didn't have a really deep squad and there was fixture congestion and I wanted to preserve some players. That's when I reduce the intensity. But the intensity is what's keeping us dominant in this game. So I wouldn't want to reduce the intensity. The intensity is the one of the main factors of why we're able to keep this pressure up, why we're able to have so much of the ball, why we're able to create so many chances. Spinazzola here as the winger. He's got space to drive wide, just about. Finds the Roman playmaker who shoots. But yeah, again, let's see if we can find a short corner to Goodmanson. Goodmanson, back to Goodmanson. Bang. Oof. I would have liked one more short corner goal there to finish off the gameplay from today. Might have been a bit too flattering. This short corner is good, but it's not. Oh, look at Ranieri again. This is what runs with the ball down the left can do to a team that doesn't have a winger. And like I said, what I've done in competitive football manager and draft mode is making sure that I have those really good wing backs. When I've played against teams that don't have wingers before, I've even utilized playing extremely attacking wingers as my fullbacks to make sure that when they get on the ball, there's no one to press them. They can just drive into wherever they want and cause havoc. But we can see our left side ball playing defender right now is causing all of the havoc. And that comes from him having some decent attacking qualities, Ranieri, but also having the player trait, runs with the ball down the left. They're unable to deal with that, especially with a man down. But any team that doesn't play with wingers is going to have a tough job of dealing with a player that runs down the flank when there's loads of space, right? Gosens, he's going to run into it. His job is to hold up the ball, plays into the inverted wing back, finds the complete forward, bounces off the winger. We don't quite get the chance here. Back to the inverted wing back. Plays an ambitious ball into the box, I would say. But notice that I like this balance more now. Before, when we played wingers on both sides, it would be too cross heavy. Whereas what we have now is a winger who's crossing a lot, but he's crossing into a wide target forward, which is better for the balance. Now, I am going to mess up the balance when we get Scott McTominay and the Greek guy, because we're going to have both wide target forwards cross into the wide target forwards on the opposite side. There's another way of creating extra chances, I would say. And both are going to hold up the ball and both help with these things. We're selling any offers that come in for our random youth team players. We're just selling. We'll get to the transfers of these players, and then we'll call it a day. And then we can continue next stream and next video with these signings and how I'm going to adjust these tactics and player traits and these for these profile players. But I'm excited. Like, McKennie is super fun player to have as a ball playing defender. McTominay is going to be interested to see if he can do the job as a wide target forward. If for some reason McTominay can't do the job as a wide target forward, he'll probably end up becoming the striker / shadow striker. And then Berardi is going to be the replacement for Goodmanson, which is ideal. Goodmanson is jaded and needed a rest. Someone that I can't rest right now until Berardi arrives, so that's good timing. And then I feel like this is going to add a lot of intrigue, a lot of excitement, additional ways to attack in this tactic. I feel like we had an idea originally, which was to use the wing backs as wingers. Negative of it was playing both those players as wingers resulted in them not being able to hold up the ball as much and putting too much crosses in. And then now we've kind of changed to a bit of more balance, to having one wide target forward, which has created a nice balance where we're not just crossing the ball into the box always. And then we will phase that out and have two wide target forwards, and we'll go back to the majority crossing, but it will make more sense because they'll be crossing to their opposite flanks and aiming. Both of them will be aiming for their respective target forwards. Right wide target forward will be crossing the ball into the box, aiming for the left target forward. So I feel like it'll be good. Sol Kawata, he was unhappy, wanted to leave. Sol Kwame, he was in good form, but we felt like there was a better option, a better player to get. I'd love to do a swap deal for Ranieri for the guy that Napoli wants. We scoop manager of the month, which was cool. And let's just quickly review the table. We extend our lead to a 5-point lead now. We've gone from a 4 to a 5-point lead halfway through the season. Amazing start. People unhappy with the sale of Kawata, as expected. He's a great defender. He's just not the perfect player we want for this experiment. Well, we're playing Gosens as a wide target forward, which is a perfect example. What's interesting is McTominay kind of can play anywhere on the pitch, I would say. Pretty much there's not a position I wouldn't play McTominay. Maybe not central defender in a back three. Outside of that, would be happy to play him in every role in this team. That's why I love the signing of McTominay and a few of these other players, is that they can play so many roles in this system. McKennie could play inverted wing back on the left, could also maybe be a wide target forward if we wanted. Centre back. Berardi can play anywhere in the front line, forward, winger, if we needed to. Gives us a lot of options, right? We're going to say this. Does that person still overspending in the wages right now? Now, if there's anyone that we could sell, we would look at Ranieri, maybe replace him with a Reece short term. He doesn't like big matches, but that's fine. And then not really anyone else we want to sign. But we could bring in some players for next season now. We could look to bring in potentially Gerson and Figaldo, just because they're so undervalued in the market. It'd be good to secure them. We have Weston McKennie, instantly going to trade him as a ball-playing defender. We sold Dodo. See him as a regular starter. Don't worry about that. And then we brought in these signings. Berardi seems like he's going to be a shadow striker for now. He's either going to be shadow striker or complete forward, depending on how we look at it, how we're going to approach it. We're going to go wide target forward on the left. I'm not against having a wide target forward that cuts inside and doesn't cross as much either. But we'll say wide target forward on support. Obviously, Stanislav is going to be a ball-playing defender. Not on cover, my bad. He's going to be a ball-playing defender on defend. And then Scott McTominay is going to be our right side wide target forward on support. And then I'll welcome in all the signings and such off stream and stuff. So yeah, Fostis is much easier to say. Yeah, I think so. I think that's what I'm going to have to fall back on. So yeah, sorry for a short stream today. And I'm sorry that I haven't streamed that much recently. Thank you everyone for watching. Really appreciate it. I'll find someone to raid now. Thanks guys, and hope you can catch the next one when we will integrate these signings into our new tactic. Okay, have a good one everybody.